Hey everyone, it's Nick Valenti with NJ Valenti Art, and in today's video I'm going to go over some drawing exercises that'll help you level up your art fast. So, let's get to it. Alright, so we have Affinity Designer open, and I'm in the Pixel Persona. So I've selected my brush tool, I'm using the Comics G Pen, and I've set the color to black. So we're going to go over some drawing exercises that'll help you level up your art faster. And it's also exercises that you could do before you sit down and do all of your main drawing for the day. The first one I want to go ahead and start off with is just working on creating some straight lines. And these exercises are all just really kind of building up our hand-eye coordination. And in order to do this, we'll go ahead and we'll just create a little dot there, a dot here, and now we'll just connect those two dots. And each time we'll make the dots a little bit further away. When doing this exercise, it's always easier and more helpful that when you start drawing the line, if you look at the end point and just keep your eye there, that ends up kind of helping you keep that line a little bit straighter, watching that end point as you go through. You could do the exercise up and down as well. Now these lines don't have to be perfect. They'll be a little wobbly and whatnot. And when you first start, you might end up like this or like way off and whatnot. And that's totally fine. This is a practice that you want to do just for, maybe 10-15 minutes a day or 10 to 15 minutes before you start your actual drawing session. And it'll build up over time. And then before you know it, your lines will be straighter and you'll have a little bit more control. Another exercise I like to do is just creating various curved lines. You can apply pressure as well. So you can go light and press harder, you can press hard and then lighter. And then we'll kind of trace along some of these shapes as well. You can reverse. And again, this is just helping us build up that fluidity in our hand. When you're drawing too, you should really kind of try to move your whole arm and not just your hand. If you have your hand resting on a spot and you're moving just your hand, you're going to be limited in your range of motion. Whereas if you have your hand and your whole arm is moving to make the shape or line, you're going to have a much greater range of motion. So these here, they don't have to be anything in particular. This is one of the more fun and maybe less frustrating drawing exercises. We could get a little caught up in trying to make that straight line perfect, or when we get to the circles, making the circle look as perfect circle as possible. But again, it's not really about that, and it's really just about the line mileage and the building up the hand-eye coordination. So I've got my hand lifted up off the drawing display, and I'm letting my arm make the movements. So that is another drawing exercise that really helps us build up our hand-eye coordination and our hand control on the page. Now, one of my favorite exercises, and I really like to do this one a lot before I actually start any of my drawing, but this one is just creating circles of various sizes. And you want to try to create the circle in one motion as opposed to kind of breaking it up or kind of creating a choppy circle. Sometimes this happens at first, these broken lines, and you're like, that's just not having a lot of confidence in what you're trying to draw, and that's totally normal. That's perfectly fine. Just keep going, keep practicing, and eventually you'll build up that confidence where you won't be using those strokey lines and you'll be working more with one line. So we want to do all different shapes. I'm not shapes, I'm sorry, all different sizes for our circles here. The idea would be to fill up the entire page. But of course you could do more or less if you like. And again, it helps if you're looking at the end point of the circle. So when you first start the circle, if you keep your eye on that point, it helps kind of bring it back around and close that circle properly. Another thing we could do is we could draw circles in the circles. This is, again, just forcing us to have a better idea and more control over what we're trying to accomplish. So we've created the one circle, and now I want to create a circle on the inside without touching any of the edges. There you go. You can go ahead and fill up a page. You can work on this for, again, anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how many of these drawing exercises you want to kind of squash into one session. Next exercise on the list are ovals. So just like we created a bunch of circles, now I want to go ahead and just create some ovals. So you can make them thinner. Thicker again. You can do them in different angles. And you can have really skinny ones. You can have wider ovals. You can draw ovals and ovals as well. Key to ovals in general is if we've got our lines here. So this would be the center of the oval. The oval basically, that's one way you could kind of break up an oval and look at the oval. You can also then create various ovals. And then we could find those inner dimensions of the oval as well. So again, this takes some practice, but it's not about creating perfect ovals or anything that looks super pretty or cool. This is really just the groundwork, the grunt work, the hard work of just building up line mileage, and just trying to build up that eye-hand coordination, and this will allow you to become a better artist much faster. These types of exercises, among others that I will continue to share with you as we progress through this series of drawing exercises, it's all worth taking the time to do now and develop a solid foundation from which then you can continue to build your other art skills on top of. So there are a lot of different drawing exercises that I want to share with you, and I will be doing so over a course of a few videos. But this next exercise will be the last one that we're going to cover in today's video. But in my opinion, it's the most important exercise to utilize in really leveling up your art quickly. Okay, so what we want to go ahead and do here is we're going to create some various shapes. We kind of want to create some beanbag shapes. We can create actually any shapes we want. There's no no limit. Create anything you might want to. Beanbag shapes work well because as we go along here, we'll see how we'd be able to turn that beanbag shape into a body, especially for like a cartoon character or something. So it's one of the reasons why I tend to work with these shapes here. So I'm going to go ahead and just fill up the page with some shapes. And now the really important part is we want to start kind of adding form to these shapes. And we'll do that by laying these contour lines across the shape. And then I also want to go and make our cross contour lines as well. And then we can imagine that oval kind of coming around in the back of the shape. And this is another reason why practicing those basic shapes are so important. All right, so you can see how we could do that. On this one, there'd be a center line. And then this will really help us in learning and understanding form at different angles and as a shape bends and moves in space. So this is one of my favorite exercises, and when I started doing this, it really helped me bring those cartoon characters that I always do up another level. It's the form that makes a figure or drawing or cartoon feel more realistic. Not even that it needs to be more realistic, but it's just more believable. So we'll just go ahead and keep working our contour lines around these shapes. I'm drawing through the shape, that way I can start developing an understanding of what both sides of this shape look and feel like. So this is an exercise that I highly recommend. Creating various shapes of, the crazier you can get with the shape, the better. And then we lay in our contour lines and then our cross contour lines and really start developing some of that form out of the shape there. That about wraps us up for this video. But I do want to go over, I'm going to upload these 3 worksheets to my Patreon page, which I will link in the description below. It is totally free, so just go ahead and click on the link. You can download these 3 worksheets and then bring them into Affinity Designer. You can pull them up into Pixel Persona, and you could practice and draw over right on top of these worksheets. So we're going to go ahead and start with this one here. This would be our straight line worksheet, so we could just go ahead and focus on, let's get a pixel layer up there. So you go ahead and practice the same exercises with these draw over worksheets. Utilizing the same principles I talked about when creating these on your own. The draw over worksheets will help too. This really will help build up eye-hand coordination. Trying to trace over these lines as they are. So this will offer an additional challenge for these drawing exercises. So I do recommend that you go ahead and download these. They are free. I will have my Patreon link in the description below, as I mentioned. So this will be our straight lines and curved lines. We also have a circle worksheet that you'll be able to do draw overs on as well. Again, just for some additional practice. And then we will also include and have an ellipse worksheet as well. I'll work on getting a contour shape as well. and that one will be available on my Patreon page as well. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. The draw over worksheets are available for free on my Patreon page. The link is in the description below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss any future videos or live streams. Thank you so much for watching again, and until next time.